Hi, welcome to the Turning the Keys podcast, the place where I will share the insights and tools that have helped me in my journey. And maybe this can help you too or serve you somehow. I am Inara Soto and I'm glad to be here. I want to start this episode by thanking all the people that have listened to the previous episodes and gave me some feedback on how it resonates with them. I appreciate your support and thank you for being part of my life. I feel like from that last episode about the imposter syndrome, what resonated with a lot of people was the aspect of the comparison trap and how we have the tendency to be always comparing ourselves with others that we see as more fit, more successful, more together, or richer than us. And because I was still thinking about that, I wanted to bring this discussion a bit further into this episode and talk about appearances because not everything is what it looks like. But the energy never lies. We just have to be more in tune to understand how to read energy. And we can do that by cleaning the blockages that interferes with the flow of energy. So, to complement this episode, we're going to have a guided meditation. It's going to be on a separate video. So, after you finish, you can jump into there and do the meditation as many times as you like. So, I feel that the top three subjects that are spread about spirituality are one, the law of attraction, two, your inner child, and three, the feminine energy. And I do believe that those are subjects that are important and that we must understand. But I feel that when something is trendy, we have a lot of content just staying on this surface level, not getting deep, and also not exploring new or different topics that are also important. But I don't know, I kind of have this aversion to what is superficial. I like to understand things deeply and I like to get to know people on a deep level, especially myself. And this week, I had a situation that made me feel like a teenager again. And I started to freak out about it, like, for the love of God, not again. And it is curious because I've been doing this inner child healing and all of this, but my inner teenager was completely forgotten. She was like, yeah, I don't exist. And I had some aspects of my adolescence that was kind of challenging because I was bullied at school. But it was not the kind of bully who would leave me with any friends, that I would be eating my lunch in the bathroom or being unable to look people in the eye. I would yell back when people were saying things about my hair and about my appearance. Necessarily, I would punch back too. I was reactive about it, but reacting didn't prevent me to internalize those insults, especially about my hair. Today, I cannot envision myself having a different kind of hair. I really love my curls. I think it goes well with my personality and even the format of my face, but I'm talking about the 2000s here. When the teenagers were emo, there was no curly hair emo. The only acceptable hair was straight hair. And that was out of order for me. And I've mentioned before how I love music, and that music was the reason that I wanted to learn English. And there was one band that was my favorite, and this band was Evanescence. And I loved Emily. I wanted to be Emily because I thought that she was so pretty. She was so white and her hair was so straight and her eyes were so blue. She must have had a perfect life. Somebody that looked like her wouldn't be facing bullying at school. And I would just throw this huge projection on her and I wanted to be her. My first email ever was my nickname, score lee@hotmail.com. This is the level of obsession I had with this woman. And I was obsessed with their music too, especially their live album called Anywhere But Home. And this week, this situation that made me feel like a teenager brought me back to the insecurities I had when I was bullied. I would feel extremely ugly, like I was a second class kind of person. And as I became more self aware of this feeling, I was like, okay, let me investigate this. And I decided to connect with my inner teenager by bringing something that would take me to that phase. The chosen was the album Anywhere But Home. And I know the lyrics of all the songs in that album, but I'm not a teenager anymore. And I feel that lyrics have a different meaning now. I understand more. The first song is called Haunted. And I started to listen to the song and singing to the song and invoking my inner teenager to show up. And I was paying attention to the lyrics. And I was like, the heck? Sounds like she's talking about sexual abuse. I opened Spotify to read the lyrics, and there was a part of the song where she literally say, raping me. And I was kind of shocked because it's like I didn't pay attention to this before. And I started to hear the other songs, and with the perception I have now, I could understand that they are all talking about a broken home. Back in the time when I was obsessed with her, I know that there was one of her songs that she wrote for her sister that died from epilepsy when they were both kids. And that I would romanticize, like, oh, she made this song to her sister. She's so amazing. Her family is so amazing. She's so pretty. Everything's so perfect in her life. But things are not what it shows. We see what we want to see or what we have the ability to see when we look at the other person. We most times don't see who they truly are. Remember that I said that energy doesn't lie. In my projection, I was obsessed with this woman because she had the perfect life. But in reality, my energy was connecting with her energy because I was also living in a broken home. I didn't speak English very well, but I knew that language. I spoke broken home too. And I think it must be very difficult to be a musician because you use the art to transform that pain into something artistic, into something beautiful. And then you have to keep singing your pain over and over in the concerts. And people have no idea they are out there singing My Immortal to their seventh grade crush. The point is that I was there comparing myself to someone that I believe had the perfect life, but this person was also full of pain. We have nothing to gain by comparing ourselves to others because if in this comparison we feel like we are better than others, this will just bring us an exacerbated ego, which is not good for our evolution. If the comparison makes you feel worse than the other, this will do nothing but lower your self-esteem, which is also not good for our evolution. And in best case scenario, if you feel like you are equal to this person, you can be just getting further away from your true essence in the attempt of belonging someplace. And we are equals in the sense that the same love that the universe shares with me, it shares with everybody else. There is no one that is loved more than others. So yes, we are equal in this aspect, but we are not equals when it comes to receiving this love. Because of our own journey, we can have more or less ability on receiving this love and sharing love. We all have opportunities to learn how to love more and how to receive love more, but not all opportunities are the same. For example, in my case, the biggest opportunity that life gave me to learn how to love more was by becoming a mother. Being a mom unlocked levels of love that I didn't even know it existed, that I didn't even know I was missing. And it just makes me a better person every single day. But this doesn't happen to everybody. How many kids do you know that have selfish parents? I didn't even plan my pregnancy, it was a huge surprise, but turns out being exactly what I needed, and I am immensely grateful for what happened and for how it happened too, because I used to have this hyper dependence and I will confuse that with freedom. And I don't think that in a moment of my life I will consciously look and say, yes, I am ready to give up all this that I call freedom to bring somebody into this world. By the time my brain reached this conclusion, my uterus will be done with the eggs. But this was my journey. A lot of people are surprised by becoming parents and they make this the worst thing that happened to them. Or a lot of people plan to have kids, but they do it for the wrong motivations, and becoming a parent can also be something bad for them and the kid. Love is out there for everybody, but the pathway to access this love is unique. And this is why comparison is pointless, because you are usually comparing the surface of somebody and usually the part of them that shines to your own shadows. And you become so self centered doing this that you forget that everybody has shadows too. And when I say that, I don't mean, hey, if you think you suck, don't worry, because other people suck too. I just suck in a different area, but they all suck. Because these also disconnect us from the wholeness. We all have light and we all have shadows inside of us. And if we decide to focus on only one aspect, we will just be doing projections and not experiencing the whole. And it's funny because the other day I saw a news that said, oh, stop comparing yourself to others because people only show the good side of their lives. But do they? Or do we only see this? Back to Emily, album is called Anywhere But Home. Like anywhere but home. Your home is supposed to be the place where you recharge. It's supposed to be sacred. And if you rather be anywhere but there, it's because you don't have a home. And who doesn't have a home can be jumping off happiness or having the perfect life. It's probably somebody that is struggling. And he was showing there, but I couldn't see because all I could see were that she was beautiful and that she was famous and that she probably didn't have body issues. There is a song that she says, quote, but I know the difference between myself and my reflection. I can't help but wonder which of us do you love? So basically, there is me, there is myself, and that is my reflection. There is what people see about me. And the imposter syndrome can also come from this place because I grew up being called out names and I internalized those characteristics like it was true. When somebody would come and tell me something different, I would feel like a fraud, like you're not talking about the same person. For example, the curly hair. I've heard all kinds of insults about it. And trust me, people can get creative when they try to insult you. And a couple of years ago, people started this transition movement that is basically you let it be all the chemicals out of your hair and you tune your natural hair. I started my transition in 2014 because after I had a severe depression episode, and questioned everything and came to the conclusion that nothing made sense, I became committed to find what would make sense, what would make my life meaningful. And I started by wanting to see my natural self. I started to have chemicals in my hair when I was 11. And before that, I never had my hair down. It was always tied up or with braids. And if I let it down, I would hear my mom saying that my hair will be puffy and tangle and that she would need to shave my hair. So I was forbid of letting my hair down. And by the age of 22, I didn't even know how my hair looked like. And as more people were bringing back their curls, the companies started to see a marketing opportunity there. So they started to make more products for curly hair. And then 5 years into this transition, I started to hear compliments about my hair. And I would be in disbelief, especially like if a guy say, "Oh, I love your hair." I would deep down doubt it. Like, really? Because what I had internalized didn't meet what people were saying about me. And I believe that that is what she meant when she said, "I can't help but wonder which of us do you love?" Because there is versions of ourselves. And when I became a mom, one of the things that was most important to me was supporting my son to let him be who he is. Like as parents, I don't think we can fully escape having some level of projections in our kids, but I always put effort to let him be who he wants to be. This is love to me. But love is also setting healthy boundaries. It's not like, oh, let him be who he wants to be, and then he wants to, instead of eat dinner, throw all the food on the floor. They're clapping, "Hey, congratulations, honey. That's what you want to do. Oh, it's so great. The food looks so good on the floor." We need to prepare kids for real life. And in real life, if you throw your food on the floor because you didn't want to eat pasta, you wanted rice and beans, life won't bring you rice and beans. Well, if you're really spoiled, then yeah, life can bring in the form of your parents that will try to please you and do what you like. Then you'll be stuck with your parents. You will be there living your life as an adult, but the umbilical cord will be so strong that you won't be able to move, to go much further. And I believe we are meant to go further. And this is what I try to do with my son. I try to teach him independence and accountability. So, oh, you throw your pasta on the floor? Too bad. Now we're gonna have to clean it. And look how sad it is to waste food. Let's not do that again. Would you like to sit down and eat more pasta? And we try again. If the issue is the texture, I can offer a variation. So this pasta with no sauce. I wouldn't change the whole menu for him. And then if I don't even have this variation, I'll just sit and explain, this is what we have to eat today. And he understands, so if a 2-year-old can understand, how can we? I used to read a lot of romances, and there's this author that I loved called Carlos Ruiz Zafón. And in one of the books, he mentioned something about Amsterdam, and he said, people tend to see Amsterdam as the sin city. But Amsterdam is not the sin city. It is the free city. The problem is that it is in freedom that people find their sins. Basically, if we live our lives in a way that we are always restricting ourselves to follow the norm, to belong, to be like everybody else, or to please people that have expectations about me, you will have no sense of freedom. And if all those external influences are removed, you won't know what to do with yourself. And you might choose the pathway of ego and lose yourself in sins. There is no love without freedom, people. Because true love doesn't happen when you don't have nowhere else to be. It happens when you can be any place else, but you choose to be with this person. And in order to connect with this love that comes from freedom, we must stop comparing ourselves with others and try to embrace each day a little bit more of who we are, having compassion towards ourselves, having patience. And for this, we must connect with ourselves in a deeper level. And this meditation is an invitation for you to do that, for you to connect with yourself on a deeper level and understand what do you need to do to move to the next step of your life. Whatever this looks like to you, there is always a next step to be given. And in this meditation, I believe you can find some guidance on what do you need to do to achieve this next step. Thank you for your time. See you there.